is our Black History Month proclamation authored by the City African American Network, otherwise known as CAN. Commissioner Mapps will now introduce the CAN leadership team members who've joined us today. Thank you for being here.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, this morning I have the honor of introducing members of the City African American Network who will lead today's Black History Month presentation and proclamation. Now, of course, the City African American Network, also known as CAN, is made up of city staff who volunteer their time to advocate for fair employment opportunities for Black public servants here in the city of Portland. CAN is also the primary organizer behind the City of Portland's annual Black History Month proclamation. And now I will turn the floor over to our colleagues from CAN. Please take it away.
Good morning.
Morning.
So just going to introduce ourselves here, CAN Leadership. I am Marvin Dean. To my left is Taisha McCool-Riley. To her left is Ernie Jones, Gwen Thompson, and Ira Bailey. And to my right is Sherelle Hosley. And Melody Brooks is back there.
Hi, Melody.
So we have 5 members here that are active CAN leadership. Six members that are active CAN leadership. And like Commissioner Mapp said, we do this every year, at least for the last 4 years that I've been a participant in CAN. Yes.
Good morning. I'm Taisha McCool-Riley, housed in Civic Life. I am the mental health program specialist for the city. And as part of CAN leadership this morning, as we prepare to read the proclamation for Black History Month, and we really speak to the theme for Black History Month, which is the Black resistance. I think that it's important for us to reflect as individuals, as a society, as a community, to really just reflect on where we are, where we've been, where we would like to see ourselves going, and what it takes to actually get to that place and get to that place in an intentional and meaningful as well as impactful way. I would also encourage us to resist, to continue to perpetuate the systems that continue to marginalize, suppress, and oppress the Black experience and the Black voice and Black elevation. And then I encourage those who are part of the Black community to persevere, to push forward, to continue to really call ourselves to a higher place, regardless to the circumstances that we often endure daily as Black people. And I will pass it on to Ernie if there's anything you'd like to say.
Ernest Jones, Bureau of Emergency Management.
That's fine.
Am I reading my section?
No.
Sorry.
Nope,
No,
you're
that's
just
all
in
I have
intro.
to say right now.
It's all right. I think we can move forward.
Yes. We're passing it back to you.
Oh, very good. Does that complete your presentation then?
Yes, sir.
All right.
No,
excellent.
of just that
The
section.
introductions.
Yes.
Okay, great. And yeah, and we'll come back at the
Yes.
end and you'll read the proclamation.
Yes.
So at this point, I would ask my colleagues if there
Oh.
are comments they'd like to make.
Excuse me. Sorry, Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us, for this opportunity. We have one more thing that we want to have as part of our presentation. I'm in the back because I'm checking on the food downstairs.
That's very important.
And he has to run a show with him.
But for the first time within City Council chamber halls, I am super excited. We did this, I think, 2 years ago, but it was on Zoom. We are going to have the Black National Anthem sang here in council chambers, and that is by the wonderful Kimberly Hope.
Also a city employee.
Yes.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our
Thank you. I don't want to follow that. Who wants to go next?
I can go in any.
Commissioner Gonzalez, I'll go ahead and go last. Commissioner Maps?
I just have very brief comments today. I just want to thank CAN for all their work they did this year and every other year to help make the Black History Month proclamation happen. We really appreciate your work, not just on the item that we're dealing with today, but I really appreciate your advocacy on behalf of Black employees here in the city. I want to pledge my commitment to work with you and partner with you to continue to make conditions for our employees of color better. We really appreciate your thought partnership and your leadership in this space, and we're really glad to see you here today. So thank you very much, and with that, I'll turn the floor back to Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
I just wanted to thank you, Ken, for today's presentation and for the work you continue to do on behalf of year-round, not just today, year-round, for African-American employees by highlighting their experiences, their lived lives. This month, let's celebrate Black History Month, not just in words, but with our actions, by supporting Black-owned businesses, by restoring the safety and livability to our neighborhoods across Portland. Let's make sure our Black businesses are being supported with technical assistance and having access to contracts at the City of Portland to create a level playing field for Portland's Black entrepreneurs. For all the hard work ahead of us that's required to restore Portland's safety and livability, we need to engage with our communities across the city, including the Black neighborhoods, Black communities, at churches, businesses, and be responsive to their concerns as a city. And then let's do it again in March, April, and May, not just in February. Every month, because this can't just be a one-time deal, a one-month deal, but a permanent part of who we are as a city in Portland. And that's raising all voices. And today and this month, we're celebrating Black voices. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. Commissioner Rubio.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for bringing this forward, and CAN for bringing this forward, and all the work that you do today and every day, and for your presentation. I really want to lift up and appreciate your leadership, CAN, for this past year, and particularly for continuing to provide a safe space for our city's Black employees, who, despite our best intentions, do not always feel safe at work, and also for speaking truth to power and for highlighting the systemic issues that have plagued this city and this country and Black communities since the beginning of time. And I want to acknowledge that there are longstanding and disproportionate impacts of racism and anti-Black policies and systems, that, the impacts of that on the Black community and Black people. And as public stewards, it's our responsibility to take our role in these systems. And when we learn about it, we name it and we take action to transform these very things that perpetuate these inequities. So I want to thank our Black employees for their service over the past several years, and especially during these challenging times. We see and acknowledge your unique experiences, and my team and I will continue striving to do what is in our authority, and me as a person, to interrupt and strengthen and rebuild systems in order to enable Black people and Black communities to be seen and valued and thrive in Portland. So thank you again for everything you do, and for making the city a better place that it is.
Thank you, Commissioner Rubio. Commissioner Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I want to thank all of you for being here today. Brevity is a leadership skill, and Taisha, you just got to the heart of the matter, so thank you for that demonstration. I also have to acknowledge Ms. Kimberly back there. I did take a picture and send it to your dad. Been knowing you for over 20 years, and wow, you're so, it's amazing. So little my feelings just watching you perform. Thank you for being here today. Black History Month provides all of us an opportunity to reflect, and that's what we should do on the contributions and the sacrifices they have to go through to get to those places of being a person who can contribute. So many more obstacles than I could have ever understood. And so I just want to acknowledge that it's a time to celebrate that resilience and that strength and the impact that you've had. When I think of the African American experience, I think of arts and culture, of course, but I think of science and technology, which I don't think gets lifted enough. And of course, activism and leadership, but it's also military, armed forces, government first responders. The African American community's always been in those positions, providing leadership and providing strength and resilience for all Americans. And for me, because of my time spent with children and youth, it's always in the educators. And I know my educator friends who are Black really need this month to be lifted. But the good news is today, the children are getting a much more honest history. It's just honest history. And they are teaching it not just in February, thank goodness, but throughout the year. And if their school district isn't doing that, then of course we have to keep a watchful eye. One of the best moments this past year was actually seeing PPS change the name of the headquarters at PPS from the Blanchard Building to Dr. Matthew Prophet. As you all know, he was an amazing superintendent. He was there for 10 years, single-handedly increased the number of African-American teachers and staff. I think it quadrupled in his first couple years. And that's a big seed that was planted. And yes, Dr. Prophet needs a lot of, it deserves that attention. So I'm grateful that that reckoning took place over this past year. And I was honored to be a part and supportive of that. So, but also I want to turn to my colleague, Commissioner Mapps, because I think you're the fourth African-American to serve on our city council. And not only are you our infrastructure city commissioner and hold us accountable to that like nobody's business, you're also a really active parent. In fact, you cut me off for good reason because you're in between child drop-offs in the morning. So the fact that you're a Black man raising 2 Black sons is probably I know it's the most important thing you do, and you don't talk about it a lot, but you just do it. So I just want to let you know how much I honor observing you as a parent. And I'll end with my favorite author, and he really has been my favorite author for a long time. And one, because I lived in Harlem in '86. I know it dates me. And William Baldwin's memorial service took place just 2 blocks from my house, and it's a day I'll never forget. It was absolutely beautiful. And I already had read a couple of his novels, and every time I read them, I have to reread sentences and paragraphs over and over again, because he was deep. I mean, there was so much economy of language in everything that he wrote. So for those of you out there that haven't read a James Baldwin novel, get with it. What I like, there's so many quotes that you could do, but this one rang true today, and my staffer, Darian Jones, it really lifted this quote out. So thank you, Darian, for serving our city on a daily basis as a strong African-American man. Here's a quote, "The paradox of education is precisely this, that as one begins to become conscious, one begins to examine the society in which he is being educated." I'm humbled to be a part of today's proclamation. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan, and I'll add my voice to our thanks to our city employees. This has been a very, very difficult period for all of our city employees, and they do tremendous work in this community, and I don't need to say that it's thankless. And I also hear from our employees of color, particularly our Black employees, that there are extra impediments to being successful, and that we have a duty and a responsibility here to provide adequate support and the tools that you and all of our employees need to be successful. And I want to acknowledge that you're not just people in the community who are passionate and caring about the community, you're also part of the City of Portland team. And the strength of that team spirit has been tested over the last several years. And I want to thank you, each of you personally, for the commitment that you've made to strengthening all of us through your leadership. So I just want to start by saying that. Speaking more broadly, obviously, Black Portlanders have made huge contributions, not only to this community, but to this nation. And we want to make sure that we continue to support a vibrant culture here in our community and make sure that, as my colleague said, we also support shared economic prosperity through supporting nonprofit organizations that work with communities, supporting small business owners and operators as they struggle in a very challenging business environment to be successful, and also acknowledge that there's a lot of reconciliation that has to happen across the board in every aspect of life. And I don't need to tell you more I mean, you know about healthcare disparities, you know about educational disparities, you know about disparities in law enforcement, and the lists go on and on and on. And there are days when it feels like we have not made much progress. And I see Black History Month as an opportunity to celebrate where we've come, but also as a reminder that we're definitely not there yet. And none of us succeed if the Black community doesn't succeed. It's in many ways really the center thread of our American existence. It's about strength, it's about resilience, it's about getting up each and every time and continuing to lead. I also like to take this opportunity to thank some people personally. This has been a very difficult year for me for a variety of reasons, and this isn't about me. I'm making this a larger statement, but I think about who stood with me during this last year, and I think about the circumstances of those individuals who stood with me, and I think of Senator Avell Gordley, who has repeatedly stood with me over the course of the last year. And there are many reasons and excuses she could have used to not stand with me, but she leaned in and she was always there for me. I think of Senator Margaret Carter, who repeatedly reached out to me over the course of the last year and basically asked, how can I help? She's 87 years old. Is it?
Yeah, is she 87?
I don't know. Timeless. She does. And she's inspiring to the community. Last but not least, my friend Margot. You don't know her. It's not important, but I do. And she's been there, and I appreciate it. So I just, the long way of saying, maybe too emotionally, maybe too personally, this isn't just another proclamation. This is about who we are as a community, the contributions of our employees to this community, and unbridled hope for the future. And with that, I will turn this over to our authors and our presenters from CAN who will read this year's Black History Month proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Whereas the City of Portland takes pride in joining Americans throughout the country in recognizing February 2023 and
Whereas Black History Month recognizes and pays tribute to the contributions that African Americans have made to American history and their struggles for freedom and equality, and deepens our understanding of just how intertwined our histories are, and
whereas the theme for 2023, Black Resistance, allows us a moment of contemplation and reflection on African Americans' fight against historic and ongoing oppression in all its forms, including physical, mental, academic, professional, legal, political, and social, and
whereas Blacks have found ways to operate outside of the system and foster hope within our own communities to promote and empower Black people to persevere in spite of the intensity of white supremacy that we endure daily. And
whereas we give respect and honor to those on whose backs were built the foundation of today's civil rights movements at the cost of their blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice, sometimes figuratively and sometimes literally, recognizing the frequency of comparison to the Black experience that many movements have relied upon and included in their narratives, and
Whereas the Black voice refuses to be silenced. As a people, we will continue to rise, evolve, and elevate to higher heights and levels with no regard for the literal and figurative hurdles that have been set before us for generations. Our truth and our voices cannot be muted. Our voices are powerful, influential, and encouraging, and our truth writes the real narrative of the Black experience. And
whereas we recognize that many tools and weapons of oppression are designed to be self-inflicting and unfortunately were successfully distributed by the beneficiaries of Black self-destruction from the time of the creation of the animosity between the house and the field Negroes to the drugs and guns epidemic that currently plague our communities and neighborhoods and is exploited for profit. And
whereas the Black community still experiences the trauma from a healthcare system that was developed on the premise that the Negro is less human than the white man, that mental health concerns in the Black community were something to be either hidden or accepted, that emotional fatigue is communicated as weakness in relation to the idea of the strong Black man and resilient Black woman, and that the pursuit of spiritual health has been characterized as cartoonish, outdated, and irrelevant. And
whereas we are a resilient people refusing to be victims and downtrodden, standing strong, uniting, and rejecting the systemic belief that we are less than and undeserving of humane treatment that includes being treated with respect and dignity as the minimum. And
whereas we rebel against extralegal violence, systemic racism, discrimination, suppression, oppression, and any treatment against the Black diaspora that neither honors us as a people nor empowers us to embrace our truth, build ourselves up, and have allies that reject the racist foundation that our nation was built upon and continues to perpetuate. And
whereas the attacks on the Black family have been intended to harm the African American community, in many instances they have created deeper, more determined roots from which a foundation of incredible strength, resilience, beauty, creativity, love, and unity has grown, supporting growth in the areas of education, science, medicine, arts, sports, finance, politics, and
whereas there are few, if any, things more beautiful than the loving touch of a strong Black mother, the kind, encouraging words of a strong Black father, the genuine respect and consideration of a strong, understanding child, and the African American is prepared to go to battle for what should be rightfully ours. This preparedness is a part of our narrative and has cultivated our courage, drive, resilience in the face of adversity and inequality, all of which is the identity of the Black family.
And whereas Black resilience, brilliance, innovation, and power can be seen woven throughout our existence and will continue to rewrite the narrative of the Black family and continue to break barriers, challenge the status quo, and create opportunities for our contributions to be highlighted and embraced. And
whereas we as a people are saying no more of the same. Our humanity matters, our struggle matters, our triumphs matter, our lives matter, and our Black experience matters. Today we celebrate our Blackness without reservation or hesitation, but with pride and honor. And
Mr. Mayor.
Now, therefore, let it be resolved. The City of Portland and Portland City Council do hereby proclaim February 2023 to be Black History Month in Portland and encourage our residents to observe this month.